have acted on the foreknowledge that something might have happened on 9/11, but there were failures and lapses and so on. That's the kind of consensus which is unfolding. I don't think that public opinion or even the anti-war movement is saying that this administration, these people should be arrested, okay? And they should be arrested in terms of their own legislation, their own laws that they are themselves enacting. If US public opinion were to understand that the Bush administration is complicit, that the Bush administration was involved in acts of camouflage, that the Bush administration is responsible for the deaths of the people on September 9/11, 2001, the whole process would collapse like a deck of cards. The leaders behind this agenda would not have a leg to stand on. But we must not fall into the trap of revealing the links of a handful of individuals within the Republican Party or the Bush administration, when in fact the complicity is much broader. So the fact that successive administrations, Clinton, Bush, have supported Al-Qaeda, that this is on record, should constitute the basis for leading an anti-war movement which will then discredit the leaders to the extent that meaningful changes can occur in the fabric of US society, the fabric of the state apparatus, in the role of the corporations. An anti-war movement has to be coupled with an anti-globalization movement. We're not dealing with separate processes. We have to understand that dollarization, free trade as defined by the World Trade Organization or under the free trade area of the Americas Project, is part of this broader agenda of military conquest. As far as the FTAA is concerned, there's a concurrent and parallel military cooperation agreement between 28 countries of the hemisphere, which, in a sense, is being negotiated alongside the FTAA. It's important to understand the FTAA is part of the national security agenda, and Mr. Zulik, who is responsible as trade negotiator for the Bush administration, is himself a member of the national security team. The veto to the resolution of the United Nations suggests that the Bush administration is criminal because they have upheld within the highest body of the United Nations the right of the Israeli authorities to kill Arafat. So they have endorsed within the UN framework the idea of political assassination, that if you don't like a political leader, you kill him. This decision of the United States in the United Nations Security Council to veto a resolution which condemns the assassination or the proposed assassination of Yasser Arafat ultimately grants legitimacy to Ariel Sharon. It's in fact the green light that he can go ahead and do it. Okay, he can go ahead and kill Arafat, and the United States will support him. This diplomatic stance, because it's within the arena of the United Nations, is not very intelligent. Okay? Perhaps a democratic administration might have proceeded otherwise. Okay? In other words, they might say, well, let's get rid of Arafat, but we don't need to make it public. We don't need to plaster it on the tabloids that we're in favor of killing him. Okay? That is the nuance maybe between a Republican administration and a Democratic administration. This administration is not particularly good in international diplomacy. It states its agenda very clearly. Says, we don't like this guy, we'll go out and kill him. Okay, he's a threat to America. Let's go and kill him. He's a threat to peace in the Middle East. Let's kill him and ensure continuity. Under Clinton administration, they would have said, yes, we support Shaman Arafat, and then they send in the CIA, and the CIA kills him off. What I'm trying to say is that this administration on the surface looks really bad because it advertises how bad it is to public opinion, and it makes the statement within the United Nations. But I don't think the choice is to have, if we go in for regime rotation in America and we get a new government, and the new government is not quite as explicit in terms of its plans to assassinate heads of state that they don't like or leaders that they don't like, well, that we've actually achieved something in the realm of progress or humanity. The loyal opposition is in fact not an opposition, because the loyal opposition is committed ultimately to maintaining the status quo with regard to the American system of government and the American corporate agenda. It doesn't question the fact that Wall Street can take over health services and education, that the main thrust of the U.S. economy is the weapons industry, that civilian activities are being destroyed with a view to beefing up the military-industrial complex, producing nuclear weapons, and so on and so forth. It doesn't ultimately get to the core of the American system of government and the American economic social system, or American capitalism. And I think that's the main weakness of this anti-war agenda. It doesn't disarm the system. It doesn't create the basis for disarming the system. It is also very much based on dramatic one-day public events, big rallies. So on a particular day, everybody goes to the streets, and it's a ritual in a sense. They go to the streets, and the objective of the organizers is to maximize the number of people who are out there. The objective is not necessarily to disarm the war agenda. Okay, and I think what we have to do is certainly continue with major public events, but build local level committees which spread across America in neighborhoods, in parishes, in workplaces, that these will then constitute the basis of a genuine opposition where alternatives are debated, where the war agenda is debated, where the legitimacy of the system is discussed, where information is transmitted. We have to weaken the propaganda apparatus. We have to have a system of alternative information which will inform our fellow citizens as to what is happening in the world, because when they read newspapers or when they look at television, they get a particular stylized version of events which never questions the legitimacy of the main political and military actors. It constitutes the basis for at least reversing the tide and disarming the war agenda.